Forward, forward. Forward, forward. Left, left, right, left. 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 Mark time, look. Keep the head, hold. Left, face. Present, pull. Post colors.
Please stay standing as Gavin President sings our national anthem. Let's meet our veterans. Please introduce yourself, your military branch, your business service, and also where you are originating from.
Dan Beebe from Cheraw, Air Force, 1968 to 73, Vietnam and Thailand.
Floyd Schwartz, Air Force, 1963 and 1967, living in Cheraw, Vietnam. Elvin Matthew, 1943 and 1944, then moved back to Cheraw.
I'm Ron from Cheraw, born and raised here in the Air Force, 1965 and 1969, in Vietnam.
Ben Matthew, here in Cheraw, 1980, from 1970 to 74, served on the USS Bird.
Katie Harris, I'm from Moana. I served from 1999 to 2003 in the United States Navy.
Larry Warren, 1966 to 1970, USS Kitty Hawk, Vietnam.
And Dan Lush, Marine Corps, 69 through 74.
Tim Snyder, I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in May of 1967 from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Spent until 1976, so about 8 years in the Marines. 2 combat tours in Vietnam.
Ronnie Harris, United States Marine Corps, 1998 to 2002, lived in Lahaina.
Robert Warren, Colorado, U.S. Army, 1993 to 2003.
Chad Taylor, Carville, Colorado, United States Army, 1992 to 1996, and United States Army Reserves from 2000 to 2017.
Jerry Gurlick from Cheraw, Colorado, United States Army, 2003 to 2010.
Alan Sheldon, U.S. Army Airborne, 1971 to 73.
Eugene Mill from Rocky Ford, Army, 71 Vietnam, First one is Kez.
Josh Aronofsky, 6 years in the Army, from Similar, Colorado.
I'm Joe Bridgewell. I served in the United States Army from 1966 to 1969.
I'm John O'Neill from California. I served in the United States Coast Guard, 1969 to 72, Vietnam.
Bob Leckerman, Los Alamos Army, 66, 69, Vietnam.
And Ron Tomlin, I'm from White House, Texas. Doug, getting on football practice at my home. That's his hometown. We came from there also. So we did some good things. And Air Force from 1966 to 1992. I couldn't get enough, so I just kept going on. So now I'm living in Bahamas.
Daniel Davis, Oakdale, Iowa. Served U.S. Army, Texas, and Colorado National Guard, 1969 and 1996, and lived in La Junta.
Personnel, lived in Ohio, U.S. Navy, for USS Nimitz, 1974 to 1978.
Leon Davis was in the Army bands in the U.S. and also in an Army band with NATO in Italy in 70 to 73.
Sam Rogers, U.S. Air Force from 1970 to 1992.
Our guest speaker today is Sam Rogers. He is a graduate of Fowler High School in 1968. In 1972, he graduated of Colorado State University at Fort Collins. He commissioned as second lieutenant through the CSU ROTC program upon graduation on June 2, 1972. Subsequently attended undergraduate pilot training at Reese Air Force Base in Lubbock, Texas. He married Jill Marvin Rocky June 2, 1973. After graduating from pilot training, Sam was sent to Shaw Air Force Base in Sumter, South Carolina to qualify in the RF-4C Phantom and began his career as an Air Force pilot. After 20 years of service, Sam retired from active duty in 1992 as a lieutenant colonel. After he retired, he and his family returned to the Arkansas Valley to farming and eventually the crop dusting business. He is still flying and is currently the owner/operator of Jetstream Ag Aviation Crop Dusting Service in at Fowler. Please welcome Sam Rogers.
Wow, I feel like this is a church service from the podium here. And what a grand entrance. And I have to tell you, in 20 years of military, I was never late for a military formation. These gentlemen can tell you in the military, you do not want to be late. So my apologies for having the wrong time coming down today. The first thing, when you talk about Veterans Day and all that stuff, it's the first thing that comes to my mind is teamwork. You just don't go out and fight for this country or do anything without all the support from folks like you, all the people at home. There's just so many people involved. It is a country effort. These gentlemen that have served here can tell you that nobody is a self-made man on these deals all the time. It's teamwork, teamwork, teamwork. Well, first of all, Armistice Day was started in World War I. Armistice Day was originally on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month is when the World War I ended in 1918, and that's why we have Armistice Day that way. But that was just honored World War I veterans. And then about 1938, I believe, they decided that they would honor all veterans of all wars, and it became Veterans Day. And for veterans, that Veterans Day is it's a day of remembrance, not just friends, but of opportunity, your family's own sacrifice, your sacrifice, and your fellow service members' sacrifices. You know, I don't know, people used to say Happy Veterans Day. If you survive, I guess it's happy, but it's more of a memorial than anything else. And there's a lot of sacrifice, but there's a lot of really good memories too. I think most veterans will tell you that too. You meet people from all over the world, and you do all kinds of crazy things that you never dreamed you had the opportunity to do. For me, I was born to fly. I was born into a farm and ranch and a flying family. Had a cousin that was World War II P-51 pilot. Ended up in Korea flying F-84s and all that stuff. I've heard stories about him all my life. I flew with my dad all the time. We spent a lot of times going out on Sunday morning and changing our clothes on the way back down to church and making the church on time. It was quite a way of life. And I always talked about being an Air Force fighter pilot. Got that opportunity and went through the ROTC program and actually got drafted. Thought I was too big a target to be a Marine or Army guy out in the jungles of Vietnam at the time, so decided to join the Air Force and not go to Canada like a lot of guys were doing at the time. Vietnam was an interesting era, but anyway, 1970 did the program, the ROTC, Professional Officers Training Program, and went from there, graduated, ended up going to pilot training at Reese Air Force Base, Lubbock, Texas, which was really an interesting time. A lot of people will tell you how easy it was. I didn't find it all that easy, but I did find it challenging. And the problem was I had the attitude I wanted to go in and be an airline pilot. I kind of changed courses. I just thought I'd take one tour of duty if we graduated from pilot training, become an airline pilot and go on. First day, T-38s, that's kind of a nice high performance little airplane. Your first ride in it is really interesting. You light the burners, you climb to 40,000 feet, and you're flooring out, and that's your supersonic run. So you get to go supersonic at least once in your career in the Air Force as a pilot. Unfortunately, one of the engines caught fire. And about the time I got a hold of controls, the firelight came on that engine, bam, we're headed back down the chute, as they call it, but we were going right back down and landed the opposite direction and we took off. So I kind of noticed it's serious. My IP's not talking to me. We are rolling out on the runway, he jumps out of the airplane and egresses, and as we're running 100 yards, the airplane's still rolling. I was trying to figure out how to get rid of all this stuff that I wasn't used to, and there was a G-suit hose that hangs on there. So we end up, ground crew and fire guys are telling me, get on the brakes, stop the airplane from rolling, we're blowing foam and left the engine. So I'm in a little bit of a hurry. Not yet panicked, but I was in a hurry. So I went over to the side after I stopped the egress, and I sit up, G-suit, flipped me upside down, I fell from 8 feet in the air. Okay, I fell from 8 feet in the air, flat on my back, which I didn't realize the time to knock the air out of me, and by the time I got over to Bill Burke, who was the IP at the time, I kind of wanted to have some words with him, but I couldn't even talk. I was out of air and breathing or whatever else. But I was hooked. I love the afterburners, I love the speed. Did well enough to pilot training to have the opportunity to go on fly the R-4C Phantom, which is a twin-engine fighter airplane, tremendous airplane, one of the premier fighters at the time. That was our first assignment, took us to England. I was assigned to go to Vietnam after that, and never did. I have to tell you, I'm kind of an interesting guy, and I served through 5 different wars in 20 years there, and I personally never served a day of combat. I was always right there, ready to go. Kind of still feel guilty about that to this day, because a lot of my peers did serve combat, and I ended up sending a lot of guys on combat tours later on as a colonel in the Air Force during Desert Storm. And, you know, I know it's kind of an interesting feeling as you train all your life, and then when your peer group goes and you don't go, it's kind of like, yeah, I should have served with those guys. So, but anyway, that gave us the opportunity to meet people from all over the world. When we came back from England, I ended up in the foreign student training program. So we ended up with people from Chile, and German students from Chile, interestingly enough. Saudi Arabians, Iranians, I had a lot of Iranian students. Sounds kind of funny, but our government was training some of those kids. Back then it was the Shah's troops and not the Ayatollahs. And it was kind of a sad day when we had to ship those guys home when the Ayatollah took over Iran. But part of that service with the country is you do exactly what the government asks you to do, even if you don't agree with it sometimes. It was an interesting thing. That's part of the sacrifice to go, and we talk about sacrifice all the time, but I also want to talk about families involved. We get, you just can't believe how much effort it takes and support and teamwork. And my wife will tell you that after we came back, I was struggling with being a foreign student. It was a really tough job, hard to go, but I walked out of the squadron one day. Major Isball's dad walked up to me and said, "Sam, how would you like to be an ace?" "Yes, sir." I had no clue what that meant, but he said, "Okay, you got a good attitude, and we need the next week." We just basically got settled in Del Rio, Texas, and I had no idea where we were going or what he was talking about. But I had to go home and tell my wife I was leaving next week. And I don't know where it was going until the next day, but anyway, we had to tell her that I'll be gone, you have to pack up and get the kids ready and come later. I'm gone. So that's part of it. Another part of it, one time we had 3 little kids, and some from South Carolina. We have a hurricane coming in, and the military wants you to take the airplanes out. So I had to come home and tell my wife goodbye. I'm taking the airplanes to Ohio with the rest of the squadron. And she said, "What am I supposed to do?" And my answer was cold. It's kind of tough, you know, and the hurricane's coming in and whatever, we gotta go. And the way I went. Or even another time when we were in England early, I came home one day and that we were told to sanitize, which means you strip all the stuff off your uniform. They were taking all the insignia off our airplanes. We were going the next morning to help another country in a little war that was going on. We were watching some people on the intel films that were getting shot down left, right, and center. So, you know, I had to tell her that I was going to combat. Might not see it again. And so that sacrifice by the family is a tough deal. And, on top of that, the kids went through 5 schools. I can't think one of them twice, all that kind of stuff. So you got all kinds of things going on in the military service. One of the things that, we were talking about this on the way over here. There was another incident where I was trying to get home to help Jill out. She's got 3 kids. We got a tornado going right down the runway. It's tearing up stuff. She got a dogfight and kids that she's trying to get in the tornado shelter. And I had to turn around and go back to Tinker and said, "Honey, I hope you make it." It's always kind of interesting military thing. So what I guess I am telling you is veterans do pay a price, but their family also pays a price. And that price, though, we're honored to serve. There's a lot of opportunity, there's a lot of challenges, a lot of fun, a lot of tragedy, but at the same time, I guess a lot of pride. I was proud to serve and do it again, and I found it to be a great pleasure to serve and serve this country. Anyway, how do you think of it? You know, I know a lot of veterans that are pretty uncomfortable when people walk up to you and say, I appreciate your service. And I am kind of one of those, a couple of reasons, kind of as one, you know, I don't feel like I really contributed that much. Another reason for that is sometimes, well, during the Vietnam service and during the Desert Storm field things, there's a lot of people that really do appreciate your service, but they do have people that turn around and I remember a hippie band. I don't know if you guys remember the old hippie bands or whatever else. I was in college wearing a uniform and tried to run over me with the band. You know, so you kind of, if you really do appreciate that service and intend to tell people that, fine, but if you don't mean it, don't say it. And I have to say, though, I've been proud to have been in service to this country to give those people that right to say that they disagree, and I think every one of us are that way. You know, we may disagree with them and may disagree with some people vehemently, but at the same time, that's what this country's all about, and we're proud to defend that freedom and the freedom to say what you want to say or protest what you want to protest. I do disagree with the people that go into the violent mode and try to run over you or shoot at you, Molotov cocktails. We went through a lot of that, the terrorist things that go on, and we went through a lot of that as well. It was pretty interesting. We were in England during the IRA bombing in London, and that was, you know, all those protests going on all over the world. But in this country, we fight for that freedom. Disagree with the violence, but that is the way it goes. So, how do you honor veterans? You're going to think this is strange, but chocolate chip cookies. Now, I say that because I particularly like chocolate chip cookies, and right off the bat, when I was in the basic training thing, my mother sent me a box of chocolate chip cookies. And packages from home when you're gone, far, far away, are so much appreciated. And by the way, those chips did get me in a lot of trouble because I was with a little squadron. We decided that was a big box. We decided to save them, hid them up at the top of our barracks, and the sugar ants made a trail up there. And our flight training officer found them, and I got busted. We got big time barracks all over the place, which means you have to do a lot of extra work or whatever. But anyway, one of the examples of that is during Desert Storm, we had a friend that had worked for me in Korea. It was in Bahrain, and the Methodist ladies at Fowler had decided to support the troops. And when they did that, they sending those personal packages to those guys that were overseas in these particular areas. I just can't believe how big an impact that had, and the people that they didn't even know were sending these guys packages and care packages, and everything from top chocolate chip cookies to even a little local newspaper. And they found that to be very comforting, and it was really a good attitude adjustment and kept it going. So it was a pleasure and an honor to serve you. And my peer group here, all these guys, I do say thank you, gentlemen. And I will say one other thing, and the part of being late as a colonel, I spent a lot of time busting young troops that were late. So again, my apologies for being late. Any questions? Brian?
Any questions? No? Thank you.
I would like to have Mr. Dan Beebe and Dr. Snyder come up for a special presentation.
Dr. Snyder, can you come up here? I'd like to present this flag to the school for this year. Cheraw. Thank you, Mr. Beebe.
Sorry, I don't have chocolate chip cookies though. Could I please have Josie, Mingus, and Nolan come down? Could you bring Grandpa Tom with you, please? Tom Goff was born and raised here in Cheraw, where he graduated from Cheraw High School in May of 1962. In January of 1965, he enlisted in the Air Force. He was sent to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio for his basic training. After basic training, he was sent to Kessler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi, where he trained in aircraft communication. After leaving training, Tom was stationed at Mountain Home Air Force Base in Idaho. In September of 1966, he was sent to Vietnam. While there, he worked on troubleshooting the radios in the planes. On October 24, 1967, he flew back to the United States. He went back to Mountain Home, Idaho, where he stayed until he completed his term in January of 1969. After leaving the military, Tom stayed in Idaho, where he worked for Simplot Land and Livestock. In 1994, he moved his family back to northern Colorado, where he worked on a feedlot and then a ranch in Walden. In the fall of 1999, he moved back to the Cheraw area, where he drove a truck until he retired. 3 of Tom's children, Eric, Jennifer, and Tyrell, graduated from Cheraw High School. He has 6 grandchildren, and 2 of those, Josie and Nolan, attend Cheraw schools. It is with great honor that we present our retired flag to Mr. Tom Goff. Anybody not get one? Are we good?
Already good.
We got a special Afghan donated by us to make our house today. We put all the letters' names in a bucket, and now we will go. Larry Warner,
like to invite Dr. Tim Snyder down for a presentation.
Those who have served. I got this. Those who have served and those currently serving in the uniformed services of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. We are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, there are others who have endured and may still be enduring the agonies of pain, deprivation, and imprisonment. Before we conclude our activities, we pause to recognize our prisoners of war and missing in action. We call your attention to this small table, which occupies a place of dignity and honor. It is set for one, symbolizing the fact that members of our armed forces are missing from our ranks. They are referred to as POWs and MIAs, prisoners of war and missing in action. We call them comrades. They are unable to be with their loved ones and families, so we join to pay humble tribute to them and to bear witness to their continued absence. The table is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his or her suppressors. The tablecloth is white, symbolic of the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. The single rose in the vase signifies the blood they may have shed in sacrifice to ensure the freedom of our beloved United States of America. This rose also reminds us of the family and friends of our missing comrades who keep faith while awaiting their return. The red ribbon on the vase represents an unyielding determination for a proper accounting of our comrades who are not among us. A slice of lemon on the plate reminds us of their bitter fate. The salt sprinkled on the plate reminds us of the countless fallen tears of families as they wait. The glass is inverted. They cannot toast with us at this time. The chair is empty. They're not here. The candle is reminiscent of the light of hope, which lives in our hearts to illuminate their way home, away from their captors, to the open arms of a grateful nation. The American flag reminds us that many of them may never return and have paid the supreme sacrifice to ensure our freedom. Let us pray to the Supreme Commander that all of our comrades will soon be back within our ranks. Let us remember and never forget their sacrifice. May God forever watch over them and protect them and their families. We now invite American Legion Post 9 Commander, Mr. Leon Davis, to play.
attending. And at this time, I would like to have all the veterans lined up over here against the wall. And as we come down, you can shake their hands, talk to them, and then return to class. Thank you.